Before we get into the episode, I have an amazing gift for you that is going to create so much growth in your business. I just recorded an episode where I shared how I grew my business by 657% in 1 year. I shared the exact principles I used. There are 5 of them. As if that's not enough, I created a worksheet for you where you can just go through certain exercises so you can implement those 5 principles in your business in the next 24 hours. We're talking about wins you're going to create in your business in the next 24 hours because of an episode of the EntreMD podcast you listen to. So go to entremd.com/worksheet to get your worksheet and head over to listen to episode 479 of the EntreMD podcast. Is going to completely rock your world. And there's nothing better than doing it other than doing it with a few friends. So share this with a few physician colleagues. You guys do it together and share with me the wins you created in your business in 24 hours. And now for the episode. You already went through the experience. You already went through the challenge. You already overcame it. Like, share the story. Share the story. Share those stories with your kids. You would think they don't matter. They do matter. Someday your kid is going to be somewhere and going to have a high-stake deal or a high-stake decision they need to make. And they're going to say, I remember when mommy told me about XYZ or daddy told me about XYZ. And in that moment, I knew what to do. Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. I think that, giving our kids, for those of us who are parents, our kids wealth is one of the most powerful things that we can do, right? We set them up to succeed at a different level. We set them up where maybe there's certain challenges we had that they didn't have to have. Hopefully that becomes a stepping stone and they can just take that to a whole new level. But I also believe that leaving your kids wealth can be one of the most damaging things you do to them. At least let me speak for myself. One of the damaging things I could do for my kids if I don't give them something else. Okay. I'm a firm believer that you want to give your kids wealth and you want to give them the how-to, the thing you did that put you in a position to create the wealth in the first place, right? So we create the wealth and we create the engine. We install the wealth creation engine in them so they can continue to reproduce the wealth. Otherwise, it's not uncommon, right, for someone to inherit a whole lot and blow it. It's not uncommon for people to inherit wealth and in 2 generations, 3 generations, is completely gone, right? And us thinking, oh, I'm an exception to the rule. Well, that's a little bit of pride. We have to ask ourselves, well, what do I need to do? So my family's not a statistic. Okay. So for me, I have developed these 5 things, like by all means, give them money, by all means, give them wealth. But even more important for me is these 5 things that I give them. And I see them as assets. I see them as quote unquote wealth. It's not the actual dollars, but it's the thing that produces wealth, right? Okay. So what do I want to give them? What do I want to leave with them? Okay. So the first thing I'm leaving them is my victory stories, right? Is my victory stories. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, it's my victory stories. Because you see, the experience I had as a kid or experience I had growing up or experience I had as I started building businesses and all of that stuff, my kids are like completely oblivious to that, right? Like if I don't share those, they'd be completely oblivious. And they would just think like, this is the way life is, as opposed to no, life can be very different. And this is what you do to take it to the next level, right? And if I shield them from those stories, I don't empower them with the wisdom from my experience, right? So this is the wisdom I'm transferring with them. And inside every story is the mindset, is the method, is the strategies, all of those things that they can learn from, they can glean from, and they can use it in their world. Now, I'm not expecting them to have the experiences that I had. The chances are they're not, but they can take it and apply it with the level they find themselves at and then take it to the next level, right? And so, some of them, it's not all finances, right? Some of that is, how I got into medical school, which was a very interesting story. We'll probably share on a different day, talking about moving from Nigeria. I was born in California, but I moved back to Nigeria when I was 6, and I did come back to after medical school, right? So coming back to medical school, after medical school, all the challenges around there and what I did to overcome those challenges and then get into residency and then complete my residency. I'm launching my first business, which is my private practice, and the challenges I had, right? Because they'll see me from a place of strength, like mommy's invincible and stuff like that. But the challenges I had, the fears I used to have, how I overcame them, how I took that practice, how we hit our first 100,000, how we hit our first million, how we became team led, how I exited, and all of those things. How I decided, like I'm only going to give, medicine after being attending 10 years, and after that I'm retiring, and how we worked through the process, and over a 9-year period was able to pull that off, right? How we made it to the Inc. 5,000. Like all of those things. Like sometimes we just think they're story. No, these are so powerful. Like I haven't made the decision yet, but I suspect I'm going to gather my stories. I'm going to have my husband gather his stories, and we're literally going to create these legacy podcasts that they can listen to and my grandkids can listen to, and all of those things, because there's so much wisdom in that. There's so much, they can learn from that. There's so much they can identify with and do their own version and all of those kind of things. So you already went through the experience. You already went through the challenge. You already overcame it. Like share the story. Share the story. Share those stories with your kids. You would think they don't matter. They do matter. Someday your kid is going to be somewhere and going to have a high stake deal or a high stake decision they need to make. And they're going to say, I remember when mommy told me about XYZ or daddy told me about XYZ. And in that moment, I knew what to do. Don't deprive them of your victory stories, right? You can literally take inventory. Like these are my victory stories, right? You may have 5, 7, 12, 24, and you just tell them one at a time and tell them a lot. Or you can have a hot seat and have them ask you questions and they'll pull those stories out. But your stories are a gift. They're as valuable as dollars. They're as valuable as an investment fund. They're so valuable. Okay. So that's number one. Number one thing I'm giving them. The second thing I'm giving them is my mindset, right? Now, I want you to, like, when I think about my mind, okay, I got into entrepreneurship 15 years ago. And before that, I was into personal development for a few years. I actually have to go think about how many years that was. And so I have done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work on my mind. I have spent a lot of money on my mind. I've read an unbelievable number of books. I've listened to a crazy number of podcasts. I've been in a number of programs and all of these things. And because of that, I've acquired superior ways of thinking about money, superior ways about thinking about business, or superior ways about thinking about building relationships and the value of social capital, superior ways of thinking about so many things. And I could transfer them dollars and not transfer them that way of thinking, which is just, it makes no sense because the ROI on the way of thinking is so much higher than the ROI on the dollars, right? And so you want to start thinking about these things, like, what is my way? Like, what are these things that I've learned that maybe are even against cultural norms, right? There is this thing about it being, for instance, as physicians, it's normal to have a loss of autonomy. It's normal to be burned out. It's normal to be working way into the night. It's normal to, but I don't subscribe to any of that, right? And I found another way out, right? There are many entrepreneurs who are like, oh, my business is struggling and all of that stuff, but they won't sell. And they cannot recognize that the problem is they won't sell. They won't build a referral base. They won't ask people to work for them and stuff like that. There's so many people who are like, where would I find the time to do all of these things? I've learned the power of delegation, the power of spending 80% of my time doing 20% activities, the power of automating, the power of building systems so that the important things are happening by quote unquote default. I feel like it's my responsibility. I have such a great asset to give them, which is my way of thinking. Now they're going to take it to a whole new level. And someone may be saying, oh, isn't that brainwashing? Everybody's being brainwashed. Our minds are impressionable. Okay. And we are going to reflect the people we spend the most time with, period. End of story. And so because everybody's being brainwashed, you want to put the best information in front of them. And that's what I'm doing. So yesterday it was so cool. Yesterday, I had a meeting. And it was the very first one. We called it the Commonwealth. And I had my kids, and I had about 8 of their cousins or so, or 6 of their cousins or so. And I started this series teaching them about the power of decisions, how to make proper decisions, how to recognize what decisions have what consequences. And I told them, I said, most adults have no idea what we're going to talk about. I mean, they were from the age of 3 to 15, right? So this was super cool. And I was like, they don't even know what we're going to talk about, but you're going to learn it. And so you're going to be so smart. And all of a sudden, and they loved it. Like one of them, she's 9. She was like, she's asking her mom, she's like, can Auntie Una, can Auntie Neka do this more than once a week? Are we only going to do this once a week? But it was so good. But what was I doing? I was transferring, it's intentional. I was transferring a decision tree. Because for me, I'm like, I don't just make decisions because I make decisions. There's an algorithm that runs in my mind. And you have an algorithm too, right? You may just not recognize it, but we all have these algorithms that are running. And I was like, what if I could take that algorithm, deconstruct it, and then teach it to them? What? Right? Okay, so that's just an example, but is just that thing of transferring superior ways of thinking that you've acquired to them. The superior way of thinking that makes the life you live now possible, the superior way of thinking that makes the revenue you've been able to create possible, now transfer it to them. You might say, my kids are young. Oh my goodness, you have no idea what these people what they can learn. Just start. You'll learn how to communicate it, right? And they catch stuff. Okay. Number 3. Third thing I'm transferring is skills, like actual skills. Okay, so back in the day, if your father was a carpenter, you became a carpenter. If your father was a farmer, you became a farmer. And so there are these things of family skills, right? Now it's a little different. You come and then you find yourself and then you go to college somewhere, whatever. And for me, I'm like, I'm going to find the top most important skills that have made me who I am. And you're going to learn those. Now, you can choose to do whatever you want afterwards. You can add new skills. You can do whatever. But you're going to have the family skills. No, I didn't say the family business, but you're going to have the skills that have made us who we are. You're going to have them. And so, for instance, you'll see that I've done this experiment publicly with my daughter, with Cheta. She's 17. Okay, she's 17. And I thought about it. I said, okay, if I could transfer business skills to her, what do I want to transfer to her? I want to transfer to her the skill of speaking. I want to transfer to her the skill of selling. I want to transfer to her the skill of networking, building quality networks. I said, if I give her these 3, it doesn't matter where she finds herself. She will use these 3 to rise to the top. Okay? And so for me, what I did is I said, okay, I'm going to have her go live once a week on Facebook. Initially, she went live in the Facebook group, in the EntreMD Facebook group. And then after that, she started going live on my private page on the EntreMD YouTube channel. My private Facebook page. You can actually go there and watch some of her videos. And if you do, shout her out. She's a 17-year-old. It'll make her happy. And I have her practice speaking. And so then I taught her the speaking framework, and then she would speak and come back. We'd audit it. We'd improve. She'd go back again. We audit, improve, go back again, and all of that. Why am I doing that? I want her to be great at speaking, like have that skill. Now, that is a skill that literally creates millions of dollars. Like, why will I not give her that skill? That is almost more valuable than any inheritance I'm going to leave her, if you think of wealth in that way, right? Okay, and then this skill of speaking. Most businesses that are under $1 million in revenue are under $1 million in revenue because somebody doesn't want to sell. That's it. Not willing to sell in the right volume, not willing to sell this in the right way, and all of those things. Now, please don't misunderstand me. It's not a judgment thing. Yes, if you haven't hit $1 million, you're working on it, all that stuff. Okay. But everybody can agree that, oh my goodness, most people don't want to sell. And if somebody can learn how to sell and become really good at it before they find out that people don't like it, that's a good thing. Right? And it's something I ran away from. I was just like, I'm flat out not doing that. I'm a professional. Professionals don't do that. Right? And so I said, okay, you're in charge of the merch division. I didn't put her in charge of the merch division because I wanted her to be in charge of the merch division. I put her in charge of the merch division because I wanted her to know how to sell. I want her to practice selling every week so she can do a strong call to action every single week. Right? And I'm going to keep upping the things that she will sell. But she's going to be a master at selling. Right? And then with networking, I set it up where she's interviewing the doctors in the EntreMD Business School. Those are the people she's interviewing when she goes live. So she has this opportunity to build her network. When she goes for live events, she does some of the photography. She runs the mic. She does some of the announcements and all of those things. And she has these opportunities to build relationships with the doctors in the EntreMD Business School. That's her doing her networking. I do the same thing at church. I do the same thing when I take her for my coaching programs and all of that. I do that with even the babies. I get them to where they're building networks with people that I could not even have had access to 10 years ago. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm transferring skill. These are family skills, and you're going to learn it. So this is why, as an entrepreneur, please hear me when I say this. Every skill you need to learn to make your business better, embrace it. The evolution you need to experience to make your business better, embrace it. Why? Because now you have something that you can then give to your kids. You can pass it on. You can pass it on. Your evolution is a gift to your family. Me learning to speak, learning to sell, learning to lead people, learning to build 7-figure businesses, learning to network, learning to, having an appreciation for growth, having an appreciation for mentorship and coaching, and all of that has put me in a position where I can take those things and transfer them to my kids. And then they start off at a whole new level because they had that. Okay. The other thing, the fourth thing that I'm passing on to them is the gift of adversity. The gift of adversity. Okay. So if you're in a place where, you had a challenging child, and when I say challenging childhood, I'm just like, things are better now, right? Like there are things we needed to do then that people don't need to do now, all of those things. The more successful you become, there's this tendency. Okay, if you're not on top of it, there's this tendency to say, "Oh, I don't want my children to go through what I went through," and you make life so easy for them, and they don't have opportunities to fail, and all of these things. If you put your child in that position, well, let me speak for my child. Okay, I don't want to judge anybody's parenting. I'm just here really to share what I'm doing, and it's a buffet. You can pick what you think will work for your family. But for me, if I do that, I understand that I'm setting my kids up to be failures. Like literally. Why is that? Because they're going to have failed projects. They're going to have so many things that will not go according to plan. They're going to have so many challenges in this life. How do I know that? Everybody has that. They're not going to be the first 4 people in this universe to have no challenges and not fail at anything. And so if I can't train them on how to handle adversity, they're not going to be able to survive adversity. There was a year, my kids at this point were not swimming well or anything like that. I was like, oh my goodness, I need to put these kids in competitive swimming. And the only reason I wanted to put them in competitive swimming because I wanted them to go and lose. I want them to go for a game and lose there. And they're all crying and they're all distraught. And then we can talk about, well, this is how we respond to failure. This is what we do. This is how we process it. This is how we bounce back. This is not a class they can get in theory. They're going to need to be in the lab. They're going to need the practical stuff. So you give them the gift of adversity, right? That means, they're on the verge of making a mistake and something, and it's not something like that's going to damage their life or whatever. Allow them make it. Allow them fall on their faces sometimes. Right? And then show them how to get up. I give them the gift of adversity. I give them the gift of that. I put them in challenging situations. I put them on stages. I put them in leadership positions so they can feel the pain of it. And I'm not saying this I'm not some sadist or whatever, but if we can't equip our kids, again, I'm not judging anybody's parenting. If I cannot equip my kids to bounce back from challenges. If I don't, I understand. I didn't understand it when I was younger. I understand that failure is part of progress. I understand that if you are going to learn to walk, you are going to fall. There's no way around that. So I don't get thrown off so much when I try to do something that doesn't work. But there are people who they tried to do something 10 years ago and it didn't work. And they're still celebrating. They're celebrating the 10th year anniversary of something that didn't work. They didn't move forward. They didn't do any of those things. I don't want them to be that. I want them to know this is part of it. I want them to have done the reps, had so many failed projects and practiced bouncing back from it that they're good now. When stuff happens, they're like, it's part of progress. It's part of succeeding. The gift of adversity. The gift of adversity. Okay. And then the fifth thing I'm giving my kids is, and I've alluded to this a little bit, is the gift of networks. Okay, guys, your network is your net worth. Okay, your kids' net worth will be their net worth. Now, you've already built all these relationships with people, maybe people who are doing businesses much bigger than you, people whose families you've loved and you learned from them, people who understand how to multiply wealth, all these kind of things. You can introduce your kids in the mix, right? And these become their networks too, right? And so I introduce my kids to all kinds of people. I connect them to all kinds of people, and I do it intentionally. And when I do it, I train them on how to do that and how to maintain those relationships and how to keep the reciprocity bank full and all of that stuff. Why? Do you know there are people, the only reason they're successful is because of their network? The only reason, that is how powerful that one asset is, right? And so I'm giving them that, okay? So what am I giving them? My victory stories, my mindsets, my skills, the gift of adversity, and my networks, right? There are so many doors, for instance, for my daughter, Cheta, there's so many doors that right now can open for her with one text message from her to somebody in her network, because she's building it, right? Now, imagine having those 5 things and installing those 5 things in my kids, giving them the gift of those 5 things, and then giving them wealth. They have the adversity to handle whatever comes with it. They have the skill that they can use to create more or to multiply it. They have the mindset that won't let them get thrown off by that. They have the stories, so they have this feeling of, this is a legacy. This is something entrusted to me. This is somebody's whole journey, like the fruit of someone's whole journey that was transferred to me. And then now it's my responsibility, if you will, or my opportunity or my privilege to take this to the next level. It's not a pressure thing. It's an opportunity thing. It's a gift. It's a privilege. But anyway, that's what I'm doing with my kids. That's what that's what I'm giving to them, installing in them, and someday there'll be some wealth transfer. But this is what they get for now. And in my mind, this is more valuable because guess what? If they didn't get any wealth, they could create it. They have the stories that normalize it and let them know it's possible. They have the mindset. They have the skills. They have the net worth, and they can handle adversity. They can create it. Even if they got nothing, they could create it, right? So that's what I'm doing. So for you, I want to invite you. I talked about your evolution. I want to invite you to then see that your evolution sets the stage for you to have the best assets to give your kids. Okay. And EntreMD, we're all about helping doctors become the kinds of entrepreneurs that can build profitable businesses, have their time back, have their freedom back, 6 figures, 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever number it is that you want. And if you're like, now that you've put it this way, I realize that when I work on myself, I'm creating generational wealth, because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. In fact, in the EntreMD Business School, we have a name for the kids of the doctors in the EntreMD Business School. They're called EBS Junior, because the things the parents are learning it's showing up in their kids. Their kids have launched big businesses. They've launched podcasts. They negotiate like bosses. They work in the parents' business. All kinds of fun stuff happening. And this is not anything formal. This is just based on the parents' evolution. Okay. And so if you're like, man, I want to take my evolution a little more seriously than I've taken it, book a call with my team, and they'll kind of walk you through. We have many ways of supporting doctors, and they'll kind of walk you through what might be the best next step for you. So entremd.com/call. That's ENTREMD, entremd.com/call. And my team will be really happy to talk with you. But I want to challenge you to prioritize your evolution and your development. I want you to start seeing those things, right? Your stories. So you want to acquire more stories, right? Your stories, your mindset, your skill, your network, and the gift of adversity as assets. Like the same way you'll see a property, like, oh, I'm going to hand them this portfolio of 5 buildings. The same way you see that is the same way you see these assets. And you're like, I'm going to transfer these to my kids. Okay. I want you to prioritize that. Docs, listen, we're a new breed of docs. We are doctors who are building businesses that are thriving, building them in sustainable ways. So we have time freedom and we have financial freedom. And we're the people who don't let all of this amazingness stop with us. We're able to transfer it to the next generation. So I'm so honored that I get to do this with you. Please share this episode with every doctor in your world and tell them, oh my goodness, I found the secret, right? Share it with them. Let them listen to listen to it. And let's do this. And let's not just become people who become phenomenal entrepreneurs and all of those things, but let's become people who do that and leave our family powerful legacies. Okay. All right. Rooting for every single one of you. I'll see you on the next episode. Go book that call with my team, entremd.com/call. I'll see you on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast.